أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ويستفتونك في النساء قل الله يفتيكم فيهن وما يتلى عليكم في الكتاب في يتامى النساء اللاتي لا تؤتونهن ما كتب لهن وترغبون أن تنكحوهن والمستضعفين من الولدان وأن تقوموا لليتامى بالقسط وما تفعلوا من خير فإن الله كان به عليما. وإن امرأة خافت من بعلها نشوزا أو إعراضا فلا جناح عليهما أن يصلحا بينهما صلحا والصلح خير وأحضرت الأنفس الشح وإن تحسنوا وتتقوا فإن الله كان بما تعملون خبيرا. ولن تستطيعوا أن تعدلوا بين النساء ولو حرصتم فلا تميلوا كل الميل فتذروها كالمعلقة. وإن تصلحوا وتتقوا فإن الله كان غفورا رحيما. وإن يتفرقا يغن الله كلا من سعته وكان الله واسعا حكيما. ولله ما في السماوات وما في الأرض ولقد وصينا الذين أوتوا الكتاب من قبلكم وإياكم أن اتقوا الله وإن تكفروا فإن لله ما في السماوات وما في الأرض وكان الله غنيا حميدا. ولله ما في السماوات وما في الأرض وكفى بالله وكيلا. إن يشأ يذهبكم أيها الناس ويأت بآخرين وكان الله على ذلك قديرا. من كان يريد ثواب الدنيا فعند الله ثواب الدنيا والآخرة وكان الله سميعا بصيرا. صدق الله مولانا العظيم وبلغ رسوله النبي الكريم صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم.
Allahumma salli wa sallim ala nabiyyina wa sallam. Jazakallah Faiz. Allah give you reward for this beautiful recitation. And as we are continuing in the Surah Nisa, and as this name imply, Nisa means a woman, and this Surah Nisa being a Madani Surah, a lot of social issues are discussed. How to take care of orphans that are in your care. How come, the women that are the girls who are in your care, how you should take care of it. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, since He is the creator of humankind, He knows the human weaknesses. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala seldom emphasizes how to take care of your children, because it's natural for human to love his own children. But if somebody else, if children who are in your care, but they are not your biological children, and you have adopted, they are orphan, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is emphasizing about their rights over and over again, because it's a human weakness that if somebody's own children are in the household and orphan children are there, sometimes people overlook the rights of orphan, and that's why they go into the best of the household is a household in which there is an orphan and he's treated good, and worst of the household is the household in which there is an orphan and he's mistreated. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is emphasizing and also pointing out to a fact that if there are girls in your care who are not your own girls, but they are orphan girls, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is warning that is human weakness, that you do not want to give their rights. If somebody has given something in your trust by your relative and you are supposed to take care of them, but you want to marry them just because you do not have to give their portion to it, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala seriously warning about that, and says that be just and be kind and be also very fair when it comes to the orphans that are being raised in your household. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that those weak children, they are in your care, take care of them. Just like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَأَن تَقُومُوا لِلْيَتَامَى بِالْقِسْطِ. Bil-qist means fairness or with justified ways. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that take care of all the children who are helpless in the وَمَا تَفْعَلُوا مِنْ خَيْرٍ فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ كَانَ بِهِ عَلِيمًا. And just like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, Allah is all knowing. So if you do something good to those children, to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah is well aware, and Allah will reward you immensely with that. And there are so much rights for destitute people, so much rights for those children who are destitute and those children who are orphan, that the sensitivity of that is such that if you are going to a crowd where the bunch of children are playing, so you're not supposed to call your own child oh son or oh beta, because this way if there's an orphan child in the crowd, so he might feel sensitivity toward that. Oh, I wish I had a father who would call me by my son. So call him by name. If there's somebody named Ahmed, call him Ahmed, come here. If somebody's name is Ali, Ali, come here, rather than saying the thing. So this way, if in the crowd, if the bunch of children playing, so that's such as the one that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam has emphasized the right of orphan, and also the right of woman, that if there's any girl that is under your care, just you do not marry her because you do not want to give the money or property that is supposed to be given to that thing. If find a suitable match for that girl and then marry off. And now, as this topic between husband and wife relationship, because not only Nisa means that women, so that all the women. So in the first ayat, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala emphasized those girls who are in the care. And the second thing, that about husband and wife, وَإِنْ أَمْرَاتُ قَافًا مِنْ بَعْلِهَا نَشُوزًا أَوْ إِعْرَاضًا فَلَا جُنَاحَ عَلَيْهِمَا أَنْ يُصْلِحَا بَيْنَهُمَا صُلْحًا. So if a woman is fearful that husband will not treat her in a kind manners and mistreat her, and also will be indifferent to his wife, so there's no harm if they find some kind of solution and thing like that. Worst of the situation would be the separation or the divorce, but if they can find an agreement, like if they can find some mediation in today's culture, if we can find a marriage counselor to come in between and try to resolve their issues, so there's nothing. In the olden days, there were some elders from each family, from the side of a wife or side of a husband. If they had each representative and they tried to solve out, so it was sort of marriage counseling in those days. And this is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is encouraging that it is good that you find it. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as He's our creator, He knows our weaknesses, and He's also pointing out وَعُزْرَةُ الْأَنْفُ شَهْ. Shah means miserness, or tendency not to spend. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentioning that when you find a discussion and like some kind of agreement between husband and wife, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is also warning people that people who do not want to spend money on their family, so it is human weakness that they are miser by nature. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is discouraging that. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that wa in tahsanu wa tattaqu fa inna Allaha kana bima ta'maluna khabira. But if you do good, like get away, like if you treat your family well, your wife and children, and understand piety, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is well aware of that, and Allah will reward you immensely with that. And the next ayat is regarding those people that who want to. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pointing out all the human weaknesses, that those people who want to have multiple wives. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is describing that you would not be able to do the justice with them, because those people who out of lust want to marry more than one wife, but they cannot keep the equality among all their co-wives. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that it is human weakness, that doesn't matter how much you try, you cannot maintain equality between them. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is warning that do not totally incline toward one woman if you have a multiple wife and leave one person hanging. I know one person in our back home in Pakistan, in one of the person, he married a second wife and totally ignored his first wife. He would not have to do anything with his first wife. So this is something Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has condemned. And the day of judgment, a person who has multiple wives, who has two wives, and doesn't do the justice or equality between them, he will raise from his grave in such a manner that his one side of the body will be paralyzed. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that if you cannot do the justice, do not marry more than one woman. And even if you have an inclination toward one wife, do not totally leave one hanging up in the air. And in the next ayat, you will never be able to be fair with both of them, but do not leave one hanging. Mu'allaqa means one hanging. So this word has been used a lot. Mu'allaqa means hanging one. Just like this word has also been used is Sabah Mu'allaqat. Sabah Mu'allaqat, 7 hanging ones. This is the poetry work of pre-Islamic poets. They were hung on the door of Kaaba, and they were the pride of Arab poetry and Arab eloquence. And when the Quran was revealed, Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam never before his declaration of prophethood had engaged in any of the poetic symposium or in the what they call it mushaira, the poetic parties. But when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed Quran, so these Arab, out of shame, started removing those hanging tablets. So that's what mu'allaqa means hanging. So those hanging tablets, because they know after revelation of Quran, those Arab poets whose work was hanging on the door of Kaaba, they would not have any significance after this beautiful kalam that was revealed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Among those 7 poets, the most celebrated of that was Umar al-Qais. He was considered like a Shakespeare of Arab world. So he never saw the time of Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. He had died before Islam, but his sister was still alive. And when Quran was revealed, and when the sister of Umar al-Qais heard the recitation of Quran, she said, "I'm glad that my brother passed away before this kalam was revealed, because he would not have any way to go. So like us, his poetry would have been nothing after the revelation of Quran." So that's why I was saying that mu'allaqa means hanging. وَإِن تُصْلِحُوا وَتَتَّقُوا فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ كَانَ غَفُورًا رَحِيمًا. And if you do the compromise, like us, when a person has a multiple wives, and if he do the tuslihu, means if he has agreement and understanding, and tattaqu means taqwa, means self-restraining. If he and I practice piety, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is oft forgiving and very merciful. But still, despite their best effort between husband and wife to find a mediation, to find the counseling, but if for some reason, if their disagreement continues, so if they go their own ways, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will provide them with abundance risk on their own, with each of them. And وَكَانَ اللَّهُ وَاسِعًا حَكِيمًا. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, cares for all of them. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is very wise, and his everything is in his hand, is in the abundance. وَلِلَّهِ مَا فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَمَا فِي الْأَرْضِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala often remind humankind that if you do something purely for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one, for him this all heavens and earth. Like, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's greatness or his kibriyai, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is reminding that all that is heavens and earth is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So our knowledge of this universe is very limited, but only the galaxy that we are living, it's called Milky Way. There are about 9 billion heavenly bodies in this world. And this is something extent of our knowledge about our own galaxy. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who sustains and who nourishes all the 9 billion heavenly bodies that are living in our galaxy. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is greatness. So if you do something for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will support you and is enough. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Kana Allahu Ghaniyan Hamida. Allah is self-sufficient, and he is the one praiseworthy. And وَلِلَّهِ مَا فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَمَا فِي الْأَرْضِ وَكَفَى بِاللَّهِ وَكِيلًا. And for all that is in heaven and what is in the earth belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and kafa billahi, and Allah is enough as your charge of all your affairs. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that his greatness and his power is that, if he wants, he can destroy all the humankind. And nasu means humankind. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can replace the humankind with some other races. وَكَانَ اللَّهِ عَلَى ذَلِكَ قَدِيرًا. And Allah is capable of doing that. So we humankinds, there are 7 billion strong living in this earth. But scientists have come up with different theories that we are not the first kind of humans. We Homo sapien are not before that there were many other kind of humanites that inhabited this world. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that it is easy for him to erase all the humankind and replace with some other creatures and that will come in this world. So that's why Allah is enough for all our affairs. So whatever we do, we should not fear the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but everything we should do is to pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because we are afraid of his creations that we are living in a very tough time, especially in North America. But all the other human, they are mainly his creation. Allah has given them life, and one day Allah will give them take away their life. And although they are 7 billion strong, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has the capacity to erase all the humankind and replace with other creatures. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, وَمَنْ كَانَ يُرِيدُ الصَّوَابَ الدُّنْيَا فَإِنَّ اللَّهِ صَوَابَ الدُّنْيَا وَالْآخِرَةِ. And whoever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed it, and if a human does anything for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and from the goodness of that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give them reward in this dunya and hereafter. وَكَانَ اللَّهِ سَمِيعًا بَصِيرًا. And Allah is all hearing and Allah is all seeing. So this is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving the concept of raza. Raza means any good deeds you do it only for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you do not fear any of his creations, do not fear those people who are opposed to it. And this is the concept of raza. Raza means to do something purely for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And some Sufi scholars have even said that when you do something for pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even the greed of Jannah should not be on your mind, or even the fear of Jahannam should not be. It should be purely for the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Jazakallah khair. So I will leave it here. If somebody wants to comment or ask any questions, bismillah.